Everybody, it's Rebecca Simon Peter with Spiritual Mojo. 15 minutes to uphold your faith, uplevel your spirit, and uplift your consciousness. And I'm really delighted to be with you today. And today I want to talk about the trouble with all the trouble in the world, the trouble with all the trouble in the world. So, in some sectors, it's hip, it's savvy to know all the trouble in the world and to recount all the trouble in the world and to bemoan all the trouble in the world. And I appreciate that because it helps us make progress. It helps us move forward and see what still needs to be dealt with, what inequities, what injustices, what unhappinesses are still there to be fixed, to be healed, to be transformed. So there's something good about it. On the other hand, there is trouble with seeing all the trouble in the world. And that's what I want to talk with you about today. What's the trouble with all the trouble in the world? So, number one trouble with seeing all the trouble in the world is you never get to relax because there's always something. There's always something to be nervous about or worried about or on the hunt to solve. So you never get to relax. Number two trouble with seeing all the trouble in the world is you never get to celebrate because there's always going to be something else just around the corner, some other war on the horizon, some other trouble on the horizon, some other injustice that's being dealt with, some other sickness, some other illness. The world will deal up no end of trouble. So if you're only on the lookout for trouble, you got trouble on your hand 24/7. So, number three, you never get to ease up. You never get to ease up because, as we said, there's always more trouble. So, you never get to relax, you never get to celebrate, and you never get to ease up. I've learned a lot from my mom and dad about dealing with trouble in a different way. My folks are just around 84 years old at this point. My mom's having her birthday. She'll turn that age in about 10 days. And for the last 3 or 4 years, my mom has been living with ALS. And that's Lou Gehrig's disease, where someone slowly loses their ability to use their muscles. And nerves and muscles are no longer connecting with each other. And so there's a increasing loss of ability to move and to speak. And it's happened pretty rapidly in my mom's life. Now, if it was me, man, I would be so devastated. And I know at a certain level my mom is. But there's another level at which my mom and my dad together have stopped looking for the trouble with trouble. And instead, they've started looking for what's right in the world. And I have learned so much from that, looking for what's right in the world. So in the last month, just give or take the last month, my mom has been to a Halloween party. My mom's been shopping at the mall. My mom's bought new clothes. My mom's been to a museum. My mom's visited with a neighbor dog. My mom's gotten her hair fixed. And I don't think she's getting her nails done, but she got her hair fixed. And she has dressed up. And she's been on numerous family Zoom meetings. My mom is showing up in life. My mom is living with ALS instead of having ALS. And in great measure, it's due to the incredible ability of my dad to reframe the situation. And because when you have a caregiver, they could easily just say, look, it's all hell, everything's terrible, and set the stage. We have people in our lives, that set the tone for how we live our lives. And so you always want to be watching out who's setting the tone for how you're living your life. I watch my mom and dad, and they actually are both setting the tone for each other because she's able to express care and concern for him and make sure he's doing okay. And he's able to express care and concern for her and a lot of jokes. There's just a lot of joking that goes on in their life. 63 years of marriage, they're recalling many, many things that have brought joy, that have brought delight, and things that they're laughing about now that maybe back then they weren't laughing over. And so I just learned so much by watching people who choose, instead of to live with the trouble, to live with the joy that life has afforded and to search out those beautiful things, to search out the little things. Even in the midst of the big boulder field of trouble, where are the beautiful little pebbles? Where are the beautiful little rocks? Where are the flowers growing? What are the pretty attributes and aspects of the landscape around you? I think about what Jesus said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Also in the Old Testament, God speaks to Joshua and says basically the same thing. I will never leave you nor forsake you. So if we know without a shadow of a doubt that God is always with us, maybe there's less to worry about. The world's going to do what the world does. And I'm actually not a pessimist. And I'm not somebody who says, well, just let it go. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I do think there's important actions to take to shore up the institutions that we care about, the people that we care about, to make a contribution to life, to leave the world a better place. But in the meantime, my friends, we have to notice what's going well. We have to notice what's going right. So I have an antidote to noticing the trouble all around you. And that antidote is gratitude. Noticing what you're grateful for, what's going well, what's going right. There's several ways to do a gratitude list. I try to do one every night where I write out at least 5 things. I try to not repeat the same things over and over because, that gets a little boring. And actually, the nice thing about having a gratitude list is just expanding your vision and looking all around you to see what else have you not noticed. So one of the ways that I do that is I think about the big picture of my day at the end of the day, but I also tune into my heart and I ask God to show me. God, show me what I'm grateful for. And a lot of times it's a very little things. It's not the accomplishment or the thing that went my way, but there was something that just rippled the harpstrings of the spiritual heart that really caught my attention, that helped me feel more connected to God, or where I was able to make a contribution to somebody around me, bring a smile to somebody's face, do a good deed. I want to encourage you to develop the practice of acknowledging gratitude. You can do it in the morning, you can do it in the evening, you can do it during the day. I have several people that text me a gratitude list every day, their gratitude list. And then I have a little red spiral bound notebook that I got at the local stationery store. And every day I write out 5 gratitude things. And I do it before I go to sleep because it helps me fall asleep on a good note. If there are other things that didn't go well, there's trouble for me to note within my own world, defects of character or amends that need to be made, someone with whom I was cross or someone who was upset with me. I make note of that as well so that in the morning I can deal with that. But especially important to note the things that went well because that way I'm really falling asleep present to the abundance in this world, present to the abundance of living in the spirit and the light of God, present to the abundance of the goodness in the world. And I'll guarantee you, for every bad thing going on, there's 10 or 20 or 100 good things going on. If you only watch the news to get your source of what you should be grateful for, I encourage you to change the channel because the news is designed to alert us to outlying sorts of events, or sometimes they're looking for what's provocative, what people may not know about. And the good often goes unnoticed. The good is just right there beneath the surface. But if you look around, you're going to see the good. You're going to see the people that are doing good. You're going to be tuned into the stories of good, and your own spirit will naturally attract you to more and more awareness of what is good in the world. I've known some people when everybody else was wringing their hands talking about what was bad, they were talking about what was good. They brought out stories of neighbors, they brought out stories of faith communities, they brought out stories of people doing good on purpose on the planet. And so these days, I encourage you to check out what's good in the world and what can you amplify. Because the more your spirit is tuned into what is good and holy and joyful and life-giving and contributory to the people around you, the more your own spirit will give that off to the people around you. And that is just as contagious as bad news. So there is trouble with noting just the trouble in the world. I encourage you to be a person who understands that God never leaves us nor forsakes us, and that there is even more good going on in the world than bad. So even as we're working to right wrongs and bring justice to unjust places and order to chaos and love to hopeless places and friendship to the lonely, even as we're working on all of those things, let your heart be glad. Let your spirit be light. Notice the joy. Notice the good that's all around you. And practice the antidote of gratitude to the darkness that's in the world, to the things that are wrong, the things that aren't going well. They'll always be there, but gratitude will be there in even bigger measure than ever. So that's the word of spiritual mojo for this week. It was delightful being with you. I pray that you take this spiritual mojo with you and practice it all week long. Practice it all week long. I also encourage you to go to my website, RebeccaSimonPeter.com. There you'll be able to see blogs for the week. You will be able to see seminars that we're offering. In fact, last week we just did Democracy, Faith, and the Common Good, a very interesting series of conversations about how to lead toward a common good when we don't necessarily share common realities. I found it very uplifting and very heartwarming to focus on people who have answers and people are working towards the common good. So be sure to go to RebeccaSimonPeter.com. Also, feel free to follow me on Facebook and look at the various social media posts as we bring out the positives in the world that we're living in. We're going to be looking at Thanksgiving in the coming week, and beyond that, the holiday season, and many more good things to come. That's Spiritual Mojo for today. 15 minutes to uphold your spirit, uplevel your faith, and uplift your consciousness. God bless you. God loves you. So do I. And remember, God never leaves us nor forsakes us. Go find the good in the world and amplify that.